So I'm gonna go through the list here. Um, these are games that I wanted to like and had a really strong affection for, but ultimately disappointed. These games had to have at least a year more of hype in myself, and then ultimately disappointed me in various key ways, not just one, various key ways. And some of them you may not like and may not be for you, but I'll explain why these games disappointed me, and it's where I said, thank you, bye. Now let's start off with a game that Maximilian, who amused me to make this list, um, he said Resident Evil 3 was the disappointing game of 2020, top three. And I think like that could be put on the list. Absolutely, it was. It should be. But RE3 for me was a thing you play and then just put in the trash and throw it away. There was nothing really wrong with the way the game technically was made, but the decisions that they made to make it not as fun, that probably is what he was talking about. The decision making that they had from the original game was taken out of the original one. That made the game a lot shorter and a lot less taxing the brain. Less puzzles in the game. I don't think there were any real puzzles in the game except for like door switching puzzles. But I had fun with the action when the action was cool. But overall, I can see why people will be very disappointed with the game. But for me, I didn't wait a long time for RE3, and then ultimately this disappointed me. I didn't wait for it that long. Here we go. Here's the list here in no particular order. Oh, this is not going to. Okay, so I'll just say once again, so several games that you may think may be disappointing, but it wasn't. Not for me. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Nah, it was fine. I waited a long time for a decent Dragon Ball Z game, and you do everything you need to do in a Dragon Ball Z game. The only thing disappointing was the numbers and levels. The levels of your character versus the enemy were super important. Kind of like the show. Your power level here, mine's bigger than yours, so I'm gonna kick your ass. So I get what they were going for, and yeah, the fetch quest stuff there, part of the course in the RPGs, so it didn't really disappoint me. But unfortunately, after waiting many years, many years, and me going through hella hoops to try to get this game, and I finally got a chance to play it in full, and I was like, why did I wait so long to play this? I Unfortunately, I had a lot of love for the game before, but I guess I fell out of love with it as soon as I played the remastered version of it. There were two reasons for that. The first one was the online component of the game is tied behind. You got to pay for it. That's number one. And also behind that one, not only do you got to pay for it, I heard that the matchmaking is horrible, and when you do get a match, it's very laggy. So that makes the entire point of the game utterly useless. And secondly, this game has so many different endings. You need to go back and way back and then play the game in a very certain way. There's no way you would ever guess to get the multiple path endings. There's like 13 endings in the game. And if you answer one question wrong in a particular part of the story, you're going to get another ending that you may have gotten before, and guess what? You got to do it all over again. So the game forces you to play with a guide in order to get all the endings. And I'm like, and you got to play the game over and over again, and do the puzzle things all over again. I'm like, no, no, I'm not doing that shit. No, the game is Catherine full body. I love the original Catherine game because it was simple, it was relatively simple to the point. And then they added so much more difficult things to do in the game. I complained that RE3 was not difficult, and then I'm complaining this game is very difficult because the stress levels of getting one piece wrong and messing up your entire run, that's what I'm talking about. That's way more frightening. Like, and then you gotta do like, and then like for every step you do in the game, one piece is your doom. And I'm like, you gotta do the whole thing over again, like not necessarily all over again. And then you gotta play in hard mode to really make it so like you all over again. I'm like, no, I'm hard mode too. I'm good, bro. I'm like, no, 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 no. I waited a long time for this one. I wanted to get in like on sale or whatever. It was never low in price enough there. I finally got a chance to play it, and I was like, oh my god, why did I? So that's on my list. The next game on my list here of waited a long time to play it, but was ultimately disappointed by it. You could say Last of Us 2, but it was made just it was made technically correct. There were no hiccups or glitches, played fine, but there was not a lot of meat after you beat the game. And that was their decision, but it wasn't really anything like holy shit, this is really bad. But what they wanted to accomplish in the game, they did. So it's not really super disappointing. Last of Us Two is compared to the game I'm about to say. I'm gonna do the game later on now, and oh here we go. Oh god, this fucking game. This game technically came out on the Nintendo 3DS first, and then was ported to the PS4. It skipped the PS3, so it came out on the PS4, even though the game was made for Nintendo 3DS, which is the same graphics as a PS2, but they skipped the PS3 version screen. It's right there. So they skipped that one. So I finally played the game after all those years of not getting the game on the Nintendo DS, and finally Kingdom Hearts DDD came out, and I was like, okay, cool, playing this one. The main reason why this game was so disappointing, I mean, an utterly disappointment to me, was that I think no matter what difficulty I played on, there was a there was a gatekeeper really early on in the game, and I couldn't believe how many times I played that thing, and it just kept kicking my ass. I tried everything I could, the whole Pokemon type system in the game. I tried everything. I kicked everybody's ass before that particular part. And then I get to that section, no matter what difficulty level, no matter how good I grind or whatever, to get my Pokemon stronger, faster, and everything like everything before that one was cake. But then still early on at that very part, it just kicked my ass all over the place. What the fuck am I? How strong did they make these motherfuckers, these enemies? I'm like, oh come on. So I was like, I couldn't believe I just like wasted my money, wasted my time for a game with a gatekeeper. Oh, speaking of honorable mention, I got a couple games in my head for this one. Uh, Two games I played on the PS that came on. Essentially, they could be PS3 games, but they're on the PS4. Trails of Cold Steel Part Two, and Atelier Iris. I forget the fucking. There's so many of them. I forget the name. I think it was the second one that was released on the PS4. Both games had a gatekeeper. Borderlands 3 had a gatekeeper. I stopped playing that one. Trails of Cold Steel Part 2, in I think the very first boss, for some reason, like it's Dark Souls, fucking like does mega damage, wipes out your party, and it's not supposed to happen. And you do virtually no damage to it. I'm like, I'm out. I like the original game the way that was paced, but for some reason they put like a super boss in the beginning of the game. Bye bye. Atelier Iris, whatever the fuck, second game on PS4. Um, that was midway through the game. They give it wasn't like a gatekeeper. It more or less it was, but like it wasn't like a boss. It was like they asked you to get some ingredients that was super difficult, if not like nigh impossible to get. You got to like mix this with that one, this one, that one, this one, that one, and you mix all that one, and then that one, and that one, and the results of that one combined together. But you have no idea what I'm talking about. But you have to go through hell and high water to get a certain ingredient, super rare, and then like if you don't get it, you're not getting past this part of the game. And then if you think that was it, that's not it. You need to build a certain boat to get like across the ocean to the next part of the game. And I'm like, this story's not even that intriguing to me anymore. Something else. Something else. So this is it. The final game that disappointed me the most on the PS4. I don't think it's going to get any more disappointing than this one. Now, this is a person that's played Days Gone already. I'm playing Days Gone, the latest patch 1.19. It's supposed to fix a lot of bugs and glitches. It definitely didn't. The game that disappointed me the most on the PS4, since I got the system about 4 years ago, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I'll tell you why. After 25, maybe more years, we finally get the remake. The music was there. I'll give them the music was there. That's very good. The music was there. Definitely good music. But I hate the business practice of cutting up games from generation to generation. Nintendo's very sneaky with it. Nintendo's sneaky. The Zelda games you've been playing essentially are system sequels. They don't really call it Zelda 1, 2, 3, 4, but essentially they are. Zelda 2, yeah, forget about that one. But Zelda 1 was on the NES. The good Zelda game was Link to the Past on SNES. Then the third Zelda game was, Ocarina of Time. The fourth one was Twilight Princess on the GameCube. The fifth one was on the Wii. I think it was something else. I think it was Skyward Sword, aka Zelda 5. And then we got Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think on Wii U and the Switch. So Zelda 6. They don't call it that. They don't call it that. However, like Mario Party, I think every system gets a Mario Party. So they're being very upfront with that one. Every system with Nintendo will get a new Mario game like numbered or whatever when it comes to Mario Party. So I think the original was the N64, then the GameCube, and then the Wii and the Wii U and yada yada yada. So they're very upfront with that one. With Zelda, they're tricky. They're tricky with that one. Metroid, they don't call it Metroid 2, 3. They don't do that anymore. Mario games, I don't think they do that anymore either. So they're tricky with that one. Every system will have a new name to it. But you will rarely ever see a new version of that game on the same console. And that is what Square Enix is doing. They're making it so every time a new entry in Final Fantasy VII comes out, it's going to be on a new console. It's it's already confirmed that the new Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will be on the PS5 only. And that's fucked up. That's a horrible, disgusting business practice. I hate that kind of shit. There hasn't been a brand new, only for PS4 Tales of game the entire time. For some reason. Maybe Namco Bandai's putting more time and effort into the Narutos and the Dragon Ball fighters of the world. but there hasn't been a new Tales of game on the PS4 in its entirety. On the PS3, some of them came out onto the PS4, but on the PS3, there were six of them. Six new Tales of games on the PS3. That some of them were on the PS that some of them were remastered for the PS4, but no PS4 only Tales of games. Why is that? Why is that? Now let's get back into why Final Fantasy VII Remake is disappointing to me. It took way too long for the game to have come out in this unpolished state. I saw so many N64 looking graphics in there, like background stuff there. Things didn't load correctly. Pop-ups over here, and I was like saying like, I don't remember seeing this thing in any game I played on the PS4. I played Spider-Man. I played Red Dead. At that point, I played, of course, Yakuza, but I've never seen graphics intentionally go low res out of nowhere before. And it's the newest patch and everything. Everything's all good, but for some reason, it doesn't look as clean. And there were several other parts of the game when I was like saying like, this don't look that good. So it wasn't polished. And the worst part of all, I'll get to the worst part of all, but the battle mechanics of like switching characters on the fly, I'm like thinking like the camera's like going over here and then going over here and over here. I'm like, focus, focus. And like the enemies are like going here and here and here and here. I'm like, oh my god, it's so chaotic. And it wasn't even fun using said character because like you do a move or whatever, and then it does the move for you. So you switch to another character with a D-pad, and they do their move or whatever, but it doesn't feel like you're doing the move. You're just telling the character to do the move, like it's Final Fantasy 12 all over again. So you're doing, but trust me, it's way more intuitive than that one. But does it feel like you're actually every punch you do or whatever? Does it feel like you're actually doing a punch? It feels like you're setting up like, okay, a punch and go over there, shoot. Okay, you go over there and you heal. Okay, you go back over there and punch. You go over there and run. And but like, I feel like you're actually in control of the battle per se. So I wasn't a big fan of the combat. It was too much all over the place. There were too many big sparks there, but I couldn't really see the attacks go through. I want to see it happen. But some people like it, some people didn't, and I didn't like the combat in the FF7 remake. Um, uh, Kingdom Hearts 3, I guess, could be construed as a disappointment. Unfortunately, I did see it coming. It's Square Enix. Square Enix hasn't been the same since 2003. So I knew it would be disappointment. It was a brand new game. I'm not sure if Square Enix made Kingdom Hearts 2, but I think it was Square Enix the ones who decided to not release Final Mix over in America for like 7 years for some stupid reason. That same company. So yeah, that's them. So I figured it wouldn't be that good. I mean, Square Enix hasn't had a good like massively acclaimed good Final Fantasy VII game since 10. No one really liked it. Just came out Final Fantasy 13, 13 1, 13 2. You're milking Final Fantasy 10, 10 2, and then Final Fantasy 12 came out there. And I'm like, and these online games 11 and 14, I'm like, no, 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 you're not doing it right. Star Ocean games were not nearly as fun. Dragon Quest games are fine. I don't know how they're fine, but they are. But only one of them came out there in the past decade on the console, the last decade. So Dragon Quest 8 was the last one that came out on consoles on the PS2, and then skips PS3, and then Dragon Quest 11 comes out on the PS4. 9 and 10 were on the I think like some of them were on the mobile game and some of them were on the Nintendo DS. But yeah, it took some time for Dragon Quest to come out there, and it did its part, it did its right, but it didn't set the world on fire. But it was overall a good game. So like I agree, it was a very good game. And the final straw that pissed me off to make me think like The developers of this game are fucking morons. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. The final thing that pissed me off in that particular game, it made me go like, I gotta put you on the list for this shit alone. Not only do they have the new age thing that pisses me off, forced walking, which Days Gone has in spades, by the way. I'm playing Days Gone right now. Oh my god, so much forced walking. I'm like, dude, you can't jog to the place. You gotta fucking walk there with your girl. The final thing that pissed me off with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not the quests, not the characters, not the acting. Nope. The main thing that made me go like, this game is trash. This game is absolute basura. No other game I know has this. No other game. And I can't believe it's in this one. The forced, it's new by the way, so it doesn't really have a name. Forced crawl space. You either duck under something really slow or you shimmy through something really, really, really slow. It's in this game, and I can't believe it's in there so much. I know technically why they're doing it, but the fact that they have to do this to hide the fact that they're loading the next part is abysmal to me. Because the game can't handle the graphical power the way it's supposed to do, they hide the fact that they're loading stuff by doing slow shimmying, whatever the fuck, slow crawl space. You know, plenty of the games have like duck and move. Like you go forward a little bit there, go slow, and then you go to the next part. Days Gone, same thing. You run forward, it's a little slow, and you move on. But in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you go forward, still scrolling, and then you go through. And you do that a lot in the game. I'm like, if this was like maybe like a couple places, not a big deal. But it's in, not only is it like in multiple places, but it's an important place you need to go back to back and forth over and over again. Like the Moogle Kid spot, I'm like, really? Like I can't like warp over there to like sit behind the thing? Nope, you gotta slowly. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, speaking of which, one of the last parts of the game that really pissed me off, that they made sure. Oh, two more things actually. The motorcycle, the both motorcycle scenes. Oh my god. I don't remember it being that bad in the original one. It was so badly executed in this game. The motorcycle scenes in FF7 Remake, so badly executed. I'm like, I'm swinging at nothing. They're getting away. I'm like, can I go a little faster? Can I go a little slower? I'm like, I'm going to catch up. I'm like, this is not fun at all. People said that the highway scenes in Yakuza are bad. They're not bad. Because you're mainly shooting people. And you're using like the virtual on thing like as a mini game. Like, fine, it's whatever. So, but no. But this one is like, I'm holding the gas down as hard as I can, but I can't go fast. And I'm like still like this far apart from the enemy. Like, go faster. I'm max speed. Like, go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster. That was, and then the big giant boss near the end there. I'm like, oh my god, I got to go to every side of this thing. I'm like, oh. And Sephiroth at the end there was like fan service bullshit. That he's not supposed to be in the game fighting against him yet. That's pure fan service right there. It didn't make any sense for him to be there at that point. So yeah, that's his fan service right there. But the last one was after you beat the game on New Game Plus, you go chapter to chapter, that's fine. But the developers, woo! If you missed anything crucial to your ability leveling up, if you missed anything, you have to do that entire chapter all over again after you get the item and do the entire chapter all over again just to get that thing. And for some reason, the developers said, we're going to give you the ability to use attacks, magic, a special, and an item And in hard mode, we're going to disable your items, even though you should be able to use them. Instead of limiting them, you can now not use it at all. Like a parent taking away your PlayStation or whatever when you're a kid there. You can't use it at all. What the fuck? Who asked for this shit? Instead of making the enemies like harder, smarter, whatever, giving you challenges like extra monsters to beat or whatever, they do a little bit of that stuff, but like taking away your items so you're handicapped. Who the fuck said you can do that? If it said like, do you want to play the game with items off to increase your multiplier for this one or whatever, a balancing act to make it like a challenge. They force you to play without items. And that's why Final Fantasy VII Remake is my most disappointing game on the PS4. There you go. Come at me, bro. Whack off.